Hello, my name is Melissa Treinkman. I am an assistant professor of musical theater vocal performance at the University of Southern California. I'm thrilled to be here today to present for the College Music Society's National Conference. I'd like to present Step by Step, a framework for helping students achieve their dreams. We'll start with a quote from the great Eleanor Roosevelt. "The future belongs to those who believe in the beauty of their dreams." So, of course, the million-dollar question becomes, how do we go from defining a dream to making it a reality? How do we go from having that dream, that thing we want, to that thing happening? So, we're going to talk about motivation in the music studio. I was particularly interested by this study done by Croco in 2020 that found that motivational strategies are used infrequently by teachers in classical voice studios. Motivational strategies include goal setting, enhanced expectancies, and autonomy support. Today, we're going to be specifically looking at goal setting, and my hope is that this presentation will give music teachers the tools to use goal setting strategies more often in their music studios, thus enhancing student motivation. I'm going to talk a little bit about goal setting theory to start us off today. This theory is based on over 400 studies about goal setting. And many of these studies were done or overseen by Locke and Latham, who are kind of the pioneers in the goal setting literature. Goal setting leads to higher performance. Setting specific goals improves task performance compared to vague, do your best conditions. Feedback. Feedback is a very important element of goal setting because it helps people know if they're on track in meeting their goals. Hard versus easy. High or hard to achieve goals lead to higher performance compared to easy goals. Specific and challenging. Goals should be specific and challenging for best outcomes. Small leads to big. Small short-term goals help people achieve larger, more complex goals. And then writing it down. Writing down goals is very beneficial and leads to better performance. So at the end of the day, we're really talking about having a plan. So I've got two quotes that I love from Benjamin Franklin, who really was a man with a plan. He said, "If you fail to plan, you are planning to fail." And then he also said, "For every minute spent organizing, an hour is learned." Very inspiring. Planning takes a lot of time and mental effort, and I think that's why people maybe tend not to do it when it comes to goal setting, but it really pays off when it comes to reaching our goals. We're going to talk a lot about today the importance of small steps. The step ladders approach is a very fantastic idea that is going to be the focus of this presentation. I highly recommend reading this book, Stick With It, a scientifically proven process for changing your life for good by UCLA researcher Sean Young. He goes much deeper than I will be able to today into this step ladders approach and many other concepts about changing our habits. But the basic idea is that most people don't achieve their goals because they try to take steps toward their goals that are too big. This leads to them becoming discouraged and giving up. So the question we're going to ask today is, how small and incremental can you make the steps toward your goal? Really, really small steps are best. Because each time you reach a small step ladder goal, your brain releases dopamine, known as the feel-good chemical. And when we experience this rush of dopamine, it makes the pleasure centers in our brain go off. And that makes it more likely that we will stay motivated and continue on toward the goal. So we want to associate checking off the boxes for these small steps with that feel good neurotransmitter dopamine. So in the materials with this presentation, you will find a worksheet that I made that was inspired by Sean Young's stepladder approach in the book Stick With It. And this worksheet is called Dream, Goals, and Steps. So we first start out with, what is the dream? And typically a dream takes 3 months or more to achieve, and it should be something that you've never done before. Then after defining the dream, we look at the goals. So those are the interim steps between where you are now and your dream. Goals can be either short-term or long-term. Short-term, we like to define as from about 1 week to 1 month to complete. And long-term goals take about 1 month to 3 months to complete. Then finally, the best part, the steps. So for each of our goals, we need to define steps that will help us get to each one of those goals. So you can see in the worksheet here, we've got the dream, then we've got 3 goals. It might be more than that to achieve the dream. This is just a template, but it might take 5 goals to achieve your dream. You'll just have to tailor that to your own particular goal. And then under each goal, I have 3 steps listed. So for goal number 1, it'll take us 3 steps. For goal number 2, 3 steps. Goal number 3, 3 steps. So those are the 3 steps that will help us get to our goal. And again, the number is arbitrary. You can potentially have 100 steps to get to the goal. And like we said, the smaller the step, the better. And for steps, we want to think about it being less than a week to achieve. It could be a step that takes 2 days, 4 days, but no more than 1 week, because we really want to make it a small step. So I wanted to go through this worksheet with a real live example. So this semester, I have a student who wrote to me at the beginning of the semester. I have my students send me an email at the beginning of the semester detailing their dreams and goals for the semester and in general. And one of my students has the goal of singing the role of Roger in our school musical at the University of Southern California, Rent. And so I thought I would just go through this worksheet as an example and use his goal of singing Roger in Rent. So first off, make a vision board. So I have some pictures of the character Roger in Rent. It's a great idea to, when you're formulating your dream, to have something visual to refer to in your living space so that you become re-inspired each time you see those pictures or those words. So we're not going to go into vision boards today, but just a plug, and I highly recommend doing that. So the dream is for this student to be cast in the role of Roger in USC's spring production of Rent. And the timeline for that is 4 months, because the audition is in 4 months. So we put that in the dream category. Next, we have to define the goals that are going to help us get to that dream. So first goal that I wrote down was be able to sing Roger's high note of the note A4 with ease. And I defined this as a long-term goal because I said it was going to take approximately 3 months to achieve that goal. Then the second goal for reaching this dream would be to master the style of rock singing. This is also a long-term goal. We put down approximately 6 weeks that would take to master the style of rock singing, which is required for this role. And then the third goal was schedule 4 performance opportunities leading up to the audition. I made this a short-term goal, so that we said about approximately 3 weeks to schedule these performances so that he would feel ready when it got time to the audition, and he would have practice performing what he was going to perform for the audition. And then, of course, the most important part, what are the little steps? And like I said, in this case, I've just got 3 steps per goal, but there most likely will be more than that, but you can use this as a starting point. So step number 1, and this is going to get into some real technical voice jargon. So if voice isn't your area of expertise, that's fine. Just replace it with whatever technique you might use for your particular music studio. But for my studio, we are going to work on some low larynx exercises. And I said up to the note B flat 4 2 times daily. So I want him to be doing his practice of this specific exercise twice a week, twice a day for 1 week. So every day he was going to do this low larynx exercise for 1 week. So saw him for a lesson on Monday, and then the short-term step, or the step to get from one lesson to the next, is do your exercise 2 times a day, the specific one. The second step would be low larynx sustain exercises up to that B flat 4 2 times a day for the next week. So say he achieved that first step and we said, yay, celebration, you achieved the first step on your way to that goal, first goal. So then what's the second step? He needs to be able to sustain his voice because he's going to have some long held high notes. And I specifically want him to be able to do the exercises higher, you'll notice, then he actually needs to sing for the role. So we said that would be 2 times a day for the next week. And then the third step, create exercises for all of the high-lying phrases in the role of Roger. So making little technical exercises out of each of the most difficult phrases in that role. And we gave that step also 1 week. So that would hopefully get us to that goal number 1. So now goal number 2, master the style of rock singing, approximately 6 weeks, we said. The first step that we determined was Nain exercise, which is a high larynx exercise, because in order to sing a rock style, you need to learn to have a more elevated larynx. And so the philosophy behind doing the low larynx work kind of first is that we learn to achieve the pitch without the help of the larynx. But then in order to sing this particular style, we need the larynx to go up. So this is a specific high larynx exercise that I want him to take to B flat and do that twice daily for 1 week. Step 2, high larynx repeated sustains. So he learns how to hold out those notes in a high larynx position. And then step 3, do a light mix exercise in a breathy vocal fold posture in both head voice and mixed voice. And I want him to do that 2 times a day for 1 week. So that's our 3 steps to achieve goal number 2. And then goal number 3, schedule 4 performance opportunities leading up to the audition. Step number 1, we said would take 2 days. Set up an audition practice party. So with his friends, say, hey, let's all get together and practice our audition material. We can, make some pasta, have a party out of it. So we gave him 2 days to set up that audition party and schedule it so that it's in the calendar. Step number 1. Then step number 2, offer to sing at a nursing home. So call up some neighborhood nursing homes, senior living facilities, and say, hey, I'd like to give a short performance for your residents because I'm looking to get practice performing. And this is a great volunteer project in general for students to do, and a great way for them to be in a low pressure environment and practice their skills. And then the third step was sign up for a coffee house performance. We have coffee houses once a week at USC. So he could sign up for that, give him 2 days to take the plunge and sign up for that. So those are our steps. So remember that the smaller and more incremental the steps are, the higher the chance that we'll reach our goal. So on the other side of this worksheet, or on page 2, I have broken down the goals. So we could take one goal, as you see at the top here, goal, time to complete, and then be a little bit more specific and incremental about the steps. So in this work on this side of the worksheet, we have 6 steps to complete so that they can really hone in on maybe it taking a little bit longer to achieve this goal, and be able to make the steps even smaller uh, than seem realistic or appropriate. We want them to be so small. And I recommend having your students fill out this worksheet in pencil, because we might have to rearrange and erase things and start again. And we're going to talk about that more in a second. But I just gave you an example of filling out this side of the worksheet for the same student. I put the goal time, 6 weeks, master the style of rock singing, and then I just broke it down into 6 goals. So the idea is, like, say you tried to reach a goal in 3 steps and then quickly realize, oh, we're actually going to need more than 3 steps to get to this goal. It's going to take, we need to break it down more. So here I have 6 steps. You might break it down even more than that. But for step 1, I said each of these is 1 week because it's a 6-week goal. And I said this is like a revised version when you go back to the drawing board and discuss, okay, we need to make some changes to these dreams, goals, steps worksheet. So step 1, do the 3 larynx position exercise 3 times a day. That's experimenting with laryngeal mobility and laryngeal freedom. So we're going to do that 3 times daily. Step 2, 1 week, high larynx neighing exercise 3 times daily up to the note G4. Step 3, same exercise 3 times daily up to A4, so that each week maybe he's expanding his range, so that it's not, oh gosh, I have to do this all at once. It's let's go week by week, see if we can break it down and really just get 1 or 2 extra notes a week. Step 4, high larynx neighing exercise up to B4, the next 2 notes up. Step 5, high larynx repeated sustains 2 times daily up to A4. That's where we're learning to extend the note out. And then step 6, high larynx repeated sustains up to B4, 2 times daily. So as I said, we're going to need to continue to rearrange, add, and adjust the steps as needed. This is part of the process. Don't give up if you didn't reach your step goal for 1 week, right? We just need to reassess and then recommit, which is a big part of the process. I can pretty much guarantee that you will need to reformulate your plan many times throughout this process. And rather than thinking of that as a failure, oh, I didn't achieve what I set out to achieve at the beginning, just expect that as a part of the process. I like to say, back to the drawing board, right? So we've got these couple little cartoons here that illustrate that, where we start, and then many things may happen along the way. We have to redefine our course, but as long as you stay in the game, you will be successful. So I have a couple tips for working with this process. First, make it easy. How do we make this process easy to use? One of the things that I like to do is make little practice recordings for my students. So if I tell them that I'm going to say, you need to practice the neighing exercise this week, I will record myself playing it on the piano for them to sing along with. And I try to keep it at 1 to 2 minutes. So it's just a micro practice recording so that they have it on their phone and it's ready to go. It's easy for them to accomplish the practicing. I joke with my students that I want to create an app that when you open TikTok or Instagram, it pulls up the micro practice recording instead and makes you do that first before you can access TikTok or Instagram. The other thing that's really a great idea and can help make this easy for students, so it's not so laborious to do, is an idea called habit tethering or chunking. So if you tether or chunk a new habit together with an old habit that's already established, you're more likely to do the new habit. For example, I could say I'm always going to do my micro practice recording right after I brush my teeth. Those two habits will then become tethered and you're more likely to do them. Make it important. It's so important to explain the why to students. Why are you having them do this? So that they are motivated to practice. Because otherwise, it's if it's too abstract and they don't understand the complete practical application, they won't do it. Make it visible. I like to say out of sight, out of mind. Put post-its up all over your house to remind yourself to do your practice or to do your steps. Set alarms on your phone. Make sure that you have systems in place that are going to guarantee your success and keep you accountable and keep you motivated. Make it a group effort. Build a community, right? So I often ask my students to have a practice buddy. Who's someone who you can make sure you go to the practice rooms with so that they can, again, hold each other accountable and make it more of a fun social experience. I also like to use some accountability apps. For example, Habit Share is a great app where the student can check off when they've done whatever it is they said they were going to do, practicing or any other of their steps. They can write it in, check it off, and then the teacher can actually see that they've done it. So that gives them that extra feeling of, yay, I can check it off the box, and my teacher sees that I did it. Good for me. I also love when students send me practice recordings midweek so that I can check in. So I might say, okay, what's a small step that we can achieve this week? And we decide, okay, you're going to practice this specific exercise. I want you to see if you can get to the note G4. If my lesson is on Monday, I might say, okay, on Thursday, I want you to send me a recording of you getting to that G4. So that gives them a couple days, which is perfect for a small step, to then send you that recording. I like using the app Voxer, which is a walkie-talkie app that makes it really easy to share audio and video. So I recommend that. A goal without a plan is just a dream. So we've been talking about dreams and goals today, and it's great to have a dream, but you really need a plan to put those goals into place. And the small step process is what I recommend very highly to help that dream become a reality. Thank you so much for listening today. If you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me at my email here, treinkman@usc.edu. You can also check out my website at melissatreinkman.com or follow me on Instagram at Voice by Melissa. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of the conference.